All right, all right, all right, all right. We are back for another edition of He Talks Live, and I'm excited about this conversation because I think we're gonna get a little deep tonight. I think we're gonna get a little deep tonight. This is a much needed conversation. You see, I got my bro already up on the screen. For those of you who do not know me, I'm Kenyon R. Dudley. Thank you guys so much for being a part of He Talks Live. And that is our other co-host over there, my brother Rashad. What's going on, man? How you doing? How you doing?
Man, blessed, grateful to be back in the building, ready to talk. Let he talk tonight.
Yeah. We I think we got some things to say tonight. Listen, for those of you who've been following us, you may notice that we got one of our brothers who is out today, and he's not going to be able to be on with us because guess what? He courting his wife, man. Come on, he's out of town on vacation with the wifey, and we love it. We love it.
That's
That's how
mandatory.
you do it. That's how you do it, bro.
Gotta do it.
Got to do it all the time. So, TK, we'll see you back here on the next show. We miss you, bro. And he'll probably be looking in, watching what we've got to talk about. Maybe he'll be over in the chat too, if he's still away just a little bit. But, bro, so we are talking tonight about some things that's been going on in the news. I don't know. How do I want to start this? I mean, we've got so much that's been going on,
Yeah.
in the news and culture. And of course, we always got to bring our Christian hat. We've got to bring our Christian perspective on some
Yes.
of these things. I tell you what, before we even jump into any of these stories, how you been, bro? What's going on with you?
Man, I've been blessed. It's been a interesting season.
Yeah,
On a fast right now, on a 7-day fast with some other brothers, which I'm excited
nice.
about. The brothers at the
Okay.
church, Hunger Church Atlanta, we're doing a fast, so that's been pretty powerful. Yeah,
Hunger.
man. Yes, sir. And the family's doing well. Business
Okay.
progressing. Things are going great, man. I'm in a grateful position.
I hear you on that fasting, man. God's been having me do it. Well, I've been doing it intermittently. I've been doing it every Saturday night, 24-hour absolute fast,
Mm.
where I just go 24 hours and don't eat anything and go all the way over into Sunday. I think it's necessary. I think for some of the brothers who may be watching, they may not know what fasting is, bro. So what is that? What is fasting? What's
Man,
going on over there with that?
I'll explain it the way uh Dr. Miles Monroe explained it and had me and my wife on a 13-day fast with no food. So I
If
watched
you
one of
if you
his
got it from
videos.
Dr. Miles, I can see why. Okay, go ahead.
Man, look here, look here. We just dove straight in.
Yeah,
So the way he explained it is fasting is like well, when you navigate your normal life, your everyday life, it's compared to like a sink. And a sink
yeah,
has all kind of junk that's going through it on a day to day, just like all the things that we take in, from food to what we watch to what we listen to, what we say out of our mouth, all of those things, right?
yeah,
And after a long period of time, a sink will get clogged up. The pipes under the sink, it's a lot of gunk going through it that starts to build up until it
right.
gets to a point where the water can barely even flow through it. And now your sink starts to stop up. So fasting is just like that, from the perspective of when you start to fast, it's like getting all the gunk out of the pipes so
Yeah,
that the water can get through, so you can hear from God clearly, so you can commune and connect with him clearly. And what he's trying to get through to you will actually get through to you. So taking the time to deny your flesh by
yeah,
pushing the plate away, whether that's a Daniel fast, whether it's a just a water fast, or neither, and for whatever time frame you establish. So the brothers and I, we've established from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m.
mm-hmm.
No food. And then we basically have one meal a day for 7 days, and we're gonna do one day
Yeah,
where we do 24 hours, nothing, no food. So yeah,
yeah,
that's what we're doing, and to build
yeah.
brotherhood as well as get closer to God.
I love that. I'm glad you actually said that because that's what I was going to ask. How is your brotherhood being built while you guys are on this process together and in this journey together? I think a lot of people, a lot of brothers, maybe you guys who are watching, maybe you haven't fasted at all ever before. Maybe this is your first time hearing this concept, or maybe you know exactly what fasting is, but you just haven't done it because you're like, okay, I don't have the time. I don't feel like I want to, turn down the plate or what have you. Uh, Rashad, you explained it and expressed it beautifully. Actually, it's like clearing out what's clogged up, and it's like connecting and communing with God on a whole nother level. I've seen with fasting, bro, and I'm just talking about my own personal life. I've seen with fasting things accelerate
Yes.
and things move. I mean, I cannot explain it. It is supernatural. Um, we'll be here all day trying to explain the power behind fasting. But bro, like, and I'm talking to those who are watching us right now. If you need something to move, to shift, to shake, you need a mountain to move in your life, something to break open. I mean, start implementing that fasting, man. I'm
Yeah.
telling you, it make it a lifestyle too. It shouldn't even
Yes.
be it shouldn't even be like a one-time event in the
Yeah.
year. Like, it really should be. Like I said, I'm doing it every Sunday, Saturday to Sunday right now. It's just
Yeah.
is a part of my regimen.
It's a weekly
You
thing.
don't have to do it like me. You don't have to do it like Rashad and the other brothers. However, God gives it to you, but just make sure you incorporate it and make it a part of your life. Because I'm telling you, what natural man and what natural man power cannot do,
Yes. Come on now.
the supernatural power of God can do it.
Yes.
And I've learned even in my career, we're going to jump into these topics, but I've learned even in my career, in the things that I've done, I've learned, bro, that you have a cutting edge too.
Mm.
You have a cutting. A lot of people don't realize. Okay, how did you know this? How were you inclined to this? How did you come up on this revelation or whatever the case may be?
Yeah.
Uh, Living a fasted life.
Yeah. Yeah. Clear mind, clear heart. Your ears are inclined to his voice.
Yeah,
When you tap into what you said, when you tap into the supernatural and you're aligned with his will, seek ye first the kingdom of God, and all these things will be added unto you. That's
hmm,
seeking him first at another level. So all these things, whether that's business strategy, whether that's family direction and vision, whether that's clarity for relationships, all of these different things are being added to you literally because you're seeking
yeah,
him at a higher level. And the scripture that we
yeah,
were talking about is the one that says, without faith, you cannot serve God, because it requires faith to follow him. And you have to believe that those who earnestly or diligently seek him will
yeah.
find him and will be rewarded. So
Mm,
when you say I'm gonna go to the highest extent, I'm gonna deny my flesh, I'm gonna deny myself, my desires, the things that I consistently do on a daily basis, I'm gonna deny those things
right.
to seek him diligently. Man, that reward, you can have an expectation because that reward is coming. So those are the
Yeah.
things we've been meditating on, and that's why I stand on regular fasting, consistent fasting. I do it every week just like you.
Yeah, I think that's so dope. So dope. So, guys, listen, if you haven't heard about this, look it up. Look it up. Take the time, research it in the word. Reach out to us. We can give you more details, more information on it if you've never, ever done a fast. I'm not talking
Mhm.
about consecration, two different things, right? It's the difference between consecrating and a fast. And so, if you've never done a fast, I encourage you to do that. Speaking of fasting, we need to be fasting, bro, about some of this stuff that's happening right now in our communities.
Yeah.
And when I say communities, I'm not just talking about at a local level, of course, that, but I'm talking about at a national level. globally. But let's bring it all the way down for a moment. There's so many things going on a local level. How are you guys over in Atlanta? Because I'm telling you, I've just been seeing stories left and right about this situation that went on, and I'm gonna bring up a video in just a minute. But bro, I mean, I think it was in what, Winder, Georgia. That
Right.
was the shootout that happened over. One of the students went over to Apalachee High School and
Mm-hmm.
shot up the place. I think two students, two teachers lost their life.
Mm-hmm.
And this was almost a week and a half, 2 weeks ago. I'm gonna
Mm-hmm.
tell you how I felt, but bro, how y'all doing over there in Georgia? First of all,
Man, that whenever a child does something like that and children die and even have to see traumatic things like that, I have a heart for the kids. You know me
yeah,
for several
you're an
years now.
educator. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, exactly. And I've worked with kids. I mentor kids, youth minister, all of those things. So it's like it hits me different. So to
Yeah,
see those news stories, my wife don't even watch it. Like she can't even watch it. But when I see
I
those
know.
things, man, it really tears me up. So I was hurt by it. And even them recounting what happened, them talking about it, it really it really hit me. So we're praying, man. We're grateful that shoot, my 19-year-old, he's out of high school and Zoe's
Yeah,
homeschooled, virtual school. So grateful for that, man. But just praying for the kids that go to school each and every day and public schools each and every day, man, because we live in a time now where it's really dangerous for them to go to school. Like you really
yeah,
got to pray over your kids every day before they go to school, because anything can happen at the school, man. So there's deeper issues. Of course, there's been all this talk about gun control and all
right.
these different things that go so deep, man. But ultimately, I'm just praying for these this battle that we fighting, and it ain't against flesh and blood.
You said that right. I'm gonna be honest with you. It's not against flesh and blood. This is a whole spiritual fight. And I heard a couple of people, tell some pastors and some leaders, like, man, don't over spiritualize this thing. This is just, one person who has like a mental disorder or a mental issue or whatever the case may be. And my thought with that is, how can we not spiritualize it, right? How can we not make it or see it from a spiritual lens and context? I mean, you cannot tell me. And when I saw this story, I'm just going to be real frank. When I saw the story break the very first time on that day, I avoided Facebook, I avoided IG, I avoided all social media for as long as I could that entire day. Because the moment I begin to hear about something, like my heart sunk, I began to get so much anxiety. Yes, me as a man of God, um, I begin to get overwhelmed with the thought of what might be happening. All I could do is go throughout my day and pray in tongues and get myself right in my mind and my heart before I actually, saw the storyline. But when I saw the storyline, you can't tell me that this is just somebody who's mentally ill. This is something demonic behind this,
A hundred
right?
percent.
And not only that, but then after that happened, I think it was like several other schools that began to get threats of students throughout the days after that and the week after that. Other schools in Georgia and in other states
Mm-hmm.
were getting notices and they were getting tips that certain students, whether they were playing or not, they were
Mm-hmm.
planning on coming to the schoolhouse and bring guns and to shoot and all of that. This is demonic.
It's deep, man. Let me just share how I know it's demonic. It's because this generation, and I hate to sound like an old man, but this
Are we there yet?
I think so, man. But look, this generation, you know how every generation kind of like romanticizes different things. You
Right.
know, our generation had our things. You know, it was, the murder, the drugs, all of those things,
Right.
right? I think the generation right after us, they started to uh, romanticize or focus on dang on doing drugs. Our
Yeah.
generation was selling drugs. The
Yeah.
generation after us really was on doing drugs, being zombies.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. Yeah.
then, like, now, what the thing that has become cool is depression, demonic. Like, they're really exploring these other religions. Like, they've really going back to like African root religions.
Yeah.
This is what I'm seeing on, this is what's popular on
Yeah.
TikTok and all these different things. There's a thing called EFI. Like, they're doing
Mm.
it and they're making it cool. They're on a spiritual journey. What I believe it is, I kind of talked about this on the last episode. What I
Uh-huh.
believe it is, they don't know how to process trauma. They don't have the tools that are needed to process trauma. So traumatic things are happening, and it sends them on this journey of discovery. They're looking
Yeah.
for religion. They're looking for drugs. They're looking for they're okay with toxic relationships.
Mm-hmm.
They normalize toxic relationships. All of these different things, bro. And what I think it evolves into is that murderous spirit,
Mm.
because they can't grasp or understand, process why certain things happen to them. So the
Mm-hmm.
story with the shooter, what things started to come out is that his parents were separated. A call from the police station came in that the mom showed up there drunk and high on all kind of stuff, and keyed the daddy car, and was just doing some crazy
Wow.
stuff. So he's processing all of these different things, and he, of course, made threats a year before and got questioned by the
Right.
FBI.
Okay, so okay, that's okay. Right here is where I say, what the heck? All
Yeah.
right. If I was in the world, it would probably been something else, but I'm not in the world. It's like what a year ago when I heard that, I'm like, okay, so what type of process was in place?
The
This young
FBI.
man, right? You're questioned by the FBI. This young man should have been released from the school
Mm,
well before we got to this point.
yeah.
I mean, but you're talking about being questioned by the FBI, but the FBI don't know anything about demonic nothing. You see what I'm
Right.
saying? And
Hmm.
so we're putting let me put this out here. How important, and y'all can answer this in the chat, those of you who are watching in, join in on this conversation. We want to hear from you as well. But, bro, how important is it that we have men of God, people who
Mm,
understand the spirit, people who understand the word of God in our communities, who can help kind of combat these demonic things that's happening, or overtake or overthrow some of these things? Because when I hear we have FBI that was
mhm,
in on this, the school administrative team, staff, everybody knew this a year ahead.
mhm.
What I immediately wondered was, where was the preachers, where were the pastors, and what's going on, where's the spiritual state of the father, right?
Mhm. That's
um
that's why he's in court too. That's why he has a charge as well.
That's why he, okay, you know what? Okay, right here, before we jump into that, that was a good segue to the video I have. I'm gonna bring it up real quick and then let's continue this conversation. This video that I have is of Colin Gray, that is the father of the young man who actually shot up Apalachee High School about 2 weeks ago now. And he's actually in court. He's actually having to answer for his son
Mhm.
and the things that he has done, regardless of whether you think it was demonic or mental illness or what have you. Now his father is in court having to answer for what happened. Let's take a look real
Old
quick.
Colin Gray is now facing 180 years in prison. He and his son both appearing in court for the very First time today, you can see Colin there clearly on edge while a judge read him his rights. We're also learning more about the FBI investigation into those threatening posts that his son Colt Gray apparently made last year on the social media platform Discord, including threats to actually shoot up a school. We have now obtained the actual audio recording where the local sheriff visits the Gray family home and speaks with Colt Gray and his father, Colin, the sheriff asking them about weapons in the home. Listen to this.
Do you have weapons in the house?
I do.
Are they accessible to him?
They are. I mean, there's nothing loaded, but they are down.
Okay.
We do a lot of shooting. We do a lot of deer hunting. He shot his first deer this year. He knows the seriousness of weapons and what they can do and how to use them and not use them. I'm telling you right now, we talk about it quite a bit.
Okay.
All the school shootings, things that happen.
Yeah,
Hey, are you getting picked on at school? He is. He's getting picked on at school, and is everything okay? That's why I keep going up there.
Investigators believe.
Wait a minute. To me, it sounds like excuse after excuse after excuse. And I'm sorry, just, you gotta jump in if I'm wrong, bro. But to me, the excuses will not work in this matter because people are dead.
Yeah, man. Yeah. And you saw signs, man. You gotta know your child. That's first of all. You know your child, right, man. And even if they try to be elusive and hide their characteristics and things, parents pick up on things. And if you having enough conversation, you find out things, and I know personally kids who have evolved from what he talking about shooting deer, which I know deer is a hunting sport. But I know kids who were mutilating animals, and then it evolved into physical harm to people. That's a real thing amongst kids. So you have to be mindful of those things. And if you have guns that are accessible to a young kid who is being picked on at school, and you know this, and you're taking them out and shooting deer and all of these things, you got to be mindful. Then the FBI shows up at your house. The FBI, this ain't the local sheriff. This ain't the guidance counselor at the school. This ain't his school teacher. This ain't the police that services the school. This is the FBI pulling up at the crib. And we just going, oh, no, it's good. You ain't going to put the boy in no counseling. You ain't going to put him at the church. You ain't going to send him to the church leader. You ain't going to do any of those things.
Right. I mean, I was growing up in a time, and this is so legit. When I was even having separation anxiety and things like that as a kid, they did not leave me to myself. I was growing up in a culture, in a community, and at a time where they believed in the power of prayer. They believed in the power of, and don't get me wrong, I'm not putting that same expectation on this man because it seems like they don't know God at all. That's just that's the bottom line. It seems like there's no God in the house, in the family, or what have you. And so by no means am I putting my upbringing and my standards on him, because I think the father needs some help too.
Definitely.
I saw him shaking in the courtroom and all of that. The father needs some help too. There's some mental situations going on with him, but also probably some demonic things going on as well with the father. But I grew up in a time, bro, where when things were going on with your kid, if you couldn't handle it yourself, you called for the preacher. Or you call for a man in the community who had the same standards as you to help reinforce, right, what you're trying to teach this kid, what you're trying to teach this child. And so, that's going back to the question of how important is it to have men of God in our communities nowadays to try to keep some of this stuff from happening.
Well, I believe that as a man of God, if he's doing it right and addressing this young man, you will look beyond. You won't look at the flesh. You won't look at fighting this thing against flesh and blood, but against spiritual principalities. And it's a spiritual battle. Understanding that piece, you would approach the child in a different way. You would
Right.
approach him in a manner to where I'm not going to meet you with the same hostility. I'm going to reason with you. I'm going to hear you. I'm going to understand. Not reason with no demon, but just hear
Right.
you out. And then I'm going to address you as a son of God, a child of God. And I'm going to pray with you. I'm going to pray for you. I'm going to lead with love. I'm going to do that. So it's a totally different approach when I'm not dealing with a wayward young child. I'm looking at this as a child of God, and brothers who can come together and just take them up and say, man, come do lunch with me. Come sit down with me. Let's talk. Let's understand what's going on and relate. Hey, I went through a similar situation. My parents were separated. Just relate to the young man and give him a peace that the world cannot understand. That's what I think men of God can do. Godly men.
I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna tag on to that. I absolutely believe that, and I agree with that. The power of a godly man in a community can really stop and some of this stuff and turn some of this stuff around. Let me tell you, I was young, I was in my 20s. And like I told you, one of our commonalities, bro, is that we have both worked with kids. And so in my 20s, I'm working at this park that shall remain nameless, this recreation center that is, ratchet, hood, whatever you want to call it. And I'm just not the guy that you would think that you would see, right, in that particular place as a counselor or whatever my title was at that time. But let me tell you, I started working at this, and I'm talking about the power of having godly men in the community. I'm working, bro, at this place. I get hired, needed the money, needed the job, had no clue where they were about to put me. I had no clue. They told me, we're going to put you over here. This is a very exclusive group of people, kids. And they threw me in the trenches, bro. I had no clue what they were doing. Okay, I'm thinking I'm about to be in a nice recreation center, letting the kids, run around, all that good stuff. They tell me a few days before I start, they say, oh, by the way, your group of kids and where you're going to be working, your recreation area does not have a building.
So y'all outside.
Yeah, y'all gonna be outside during the summertime.
Wow.
Because I was like a summertime. I started out as like a summertime, counselor.
Outside with some bad kids.
When I tell you they were, let me tell y'all, I'm serious. This is so serious. I did not know that I was going to end up, quote unquote, parenting, mentoring some stone cold murderers. There are two of my young kids right now. I'm sad to say, but they ended. Well, one is gone. One lost his life, and another actually lost his life by way of prison. He's in prison for the rest of his life because he killed somebody. Wow. And what I'm not saying that to brag, but what I'm saying is the leaders of the recreation center, the leaders of the recreation and parks area over the county were like, what were you doing with these kids during the summertime? Because there was no crime in the area. We were under a pavilion in the middle of their drug infested neighborhood. And bro, some of y'all might laugh at me when I say this, but bro, I'm in the middle of this drug infested neighborhood with kids that I don't know, with with nothing but a whistle. Ain't got no gun.
Got a whistle,
bro.
Dang.
I wish I could show you how I'm blowing the whistle. I'm going through this story to say all I had was God and the whistle.
God and the whistle.
That's all I had, and I had love. And I can remember I set up a whole scared straight situation for these cats. It had to be maybe about in all 30 kids. And I didn't know the summer lunch that we were providing and the summer breakfast,
That's the only meals.
that was their only meal. They were coming from their houses and apartments in the center of the neighborhood just to eat and to see Mr. King.
That's why their mama made sure they went. They wasn't gonna stay at home because this how you gonna eat.
This how you gonna eat. The mama might not have eaten, but I caught on to it because there was a group of kids. They were brother and sisters, and I realized that they weren't eating at home. I started sending food home
Mm-hmm.
because we had those
Same
little
with public
lunches
school.
that were in the boxes or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I started sending food home with them. Here, y'all eat this and send and here go one for your mama.
Man. It's real,
But
man.
I'm going through that to say we did this whole scared straight situation. Man, bro, I called up DeKalb County jail. I knew
Mm-hmm.
some folks there, and they allowed me. Now I don't think they would ever do this nowadays. They allowed me to bring those group of kids behind the jail to see what it's like, and we turned some people's life around. Some of those kids have gone on to do greater things. Of course, we still have one or two, that it didn't turn out well for them. But my point is, there was no crime, no killing, no stealing. Things,
Mm-hmm.
the crime rate had went down in the area while we were having the summer program right there in the middle of their neighborhood. Why did I
That's
go
good.
through all of this? Man, we need some men of God in our communities like never before.
100%. First, the one of the most important things is what me and you talked about one time is being able to see an example. I
Yeah,
told you the hardest thing for me was to see an example and make it make sense in my mind. How to be a
yeah,
godly man and still be a man. I didn't
yeah,
see that where I was from.
yeah.
I saw you was either street, or you was
Mhm.
something else.
Or you were sweet.
So
That's what they say.
street or sweet.
Right, right.
So man, so to see a man of God in the community and actually care that they can relate to, that they
Yeah,
can talk to, and share things with, be vulnerable with, it'll make a world of a difference, man.
yeah,
Make a world. I can get to God from a guy through a guy who I can actually relate to,
yeah,
have a relationship and a connection with the Father in heaven, and this man will introduce me to it. Come on, man. It's
yeah.
it's
I,
an amazing thing.
to who you can relate to and who you can aspire
Mm-hmm.
to even be, because a lot of times, these kids, they just want to know that there's a better life,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
And so to see a man of God, a brother, it don't matter your race, your nationality. You're my brother, so I'm gonna
Mhm.
call you brother. To see a brother in the community and you're successful in your own way. I'm not saying you're
Yeah.
a millionaire,
Mm-hmm.
right? I'm not saying you are the next latest greatest R&B singer and they're
Mm-hmm.
looking up to you and all of that because of that. I'm not saying that, but they're able to see a man
Yeah.
successful in his own right, happy,
Yeah.
got peace, just like what you just said, Rashad, got some peace, right?
Mm-hmm.
To
Some
be able to
confidence.
see that. Go ahead.
Mm-hmm. I was just saying some confidence.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Just some plain old confidence. Like,
Yeah.
how do I walk through the valley of the shadow of death and fear no evil
Mm-hmm.
when I'm scared straight? Like, to be able to see a man of God doing that and modeling it brings kids or gives kids the opportunity to be able to face challenges that they probably didn't think that they could ever face had they not seen it modeled before them.
100%, man. I think we could shift the narrative if
Mhm.
that was more prevalent because like most of the people, the men, you hear them share their testimony now,
Yeah.
especially guys who went left first and then they
Mhm.
ended up being successful, whether they had to overcome prison or whatever the case may be. They'll say all we had to look up to was the drug dealers, all we had to look up to were negative examples. So that's what I wanted to aspire to be. But
Yeah.
what if what they had to look up to were guys like us, guys
Mm-hmm.
who had families, guys who were established, have their own business, these different things, who are navigating life, but they are godly men, and we are the ones in the community. We are the ones discipling these young boys,
Yeah.
just really developing and growing and mentoring these young kids. What if that was the narrative and they can look up to us?
Yeah.
Then you'll
For
have a
sure.
whole generation of young people who can achieve and accomplish without having to go to prison for 20 years first.
Right. Right.
You know,
I want to ask you a question. And maybe y'all can put y'all answer over in the chat too, because we want to see what you got to say about this. But bro, to that point, do you think that there is a disconnect between uh, adults or adult men who are in the community and kids, younger people? Do you think that there's a disconnect? There's a reason why they don't want to model after some of the men in our community, and if so, what are some of those disconnects? Like because in my mind, I automatically go back to some of the things that some of those guys were saying to me in the middle of, the drug infested neighborhood, and they were telling me, well, I can't really relate with some of these cats because they don't know my struggle. They don't know, they've not been through what I've been through, right? So
mhm.
is there a disconnect? And if so, what are some of those things and how can we kind of bridge the gap here?
Most definitely. I believe there has been a disconnect for sure. And what it is, Wallow, I'm not sure if you're familiar with him. Wallow is a
Uh-huh.
guy who has a popular platform with his cousin. And he did 20 years in prison. He came home and he told a story how when he was young, he would see let's say Tyrone would pull up in his whip, his clean whip. He'll hop out, got a pocket full of money, all the girls running up to him. And not only that, all of the mothers of the block know him by name, invite him into the house for some good cooking, all of these things. And that's the drug
Right.
dealer. And then you got 40-year-old Tim, who's a plumber and been working hard all day. He come home and he don't have no respect. You know
Right.
what I'm saying? Nobody care about what Tim doing, and it's not honorable to have that job. So the young kid growing up wants to be Tyrone because he wants to have the girls, he wants to have the money, he wants to have the respect. So that's the natural line of things. But what I believe is the thing is, it starts. We always said this. It starts at home, and if you're a mother raising a young boy in a single parent household, you have to have a mindset of let me get him connected to some men, not just men that I'm dating. Let me get him connected to some brothers that can take him under his wing, take him under their
Mhm.
wing. That can
Mhm.
be the church. Now I'm starting to see it now, how you can have this young man connected to people, it's connected to some solid men. Being joining a church. If you're a single mom, it's imperative for you to join a good church with some good
Yeah.
men in it, and have that young man a part of a youth group, have that young man being mentored by some men in the church, those
Whether
types
he
of
want to or
things.
not.
Whether he wants to or not, don't give him no choice. That you hit it right there, because I said last time, a lot of times when you're a single parent, you don't really have that much structure because it's nobody holding you accountable.
Right.
So while it may be more helpful to have your child sleep in their own bed at
Mhm.
night so they can grow up and know how to be independent and not have separation anxiety, but you've trained them, it's easier to fall asleep watching a movie with your baby because you love them so much. You ain't got no man. So you
Right.
want to snuggle up with your baby.
Right.
You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
And,
It's
and,
nobody.
and, you, and you're probably dealing with some loneliness or whatever you're dealing with too. Come
Exactly.
on, come on. Y'all don't kill me in the chats. I already know, but it's real.
It's very
Sometimes
real.
you handicap him. That's a whole nother show. But
Mm-hmm.
sometimes you handicap him because why? Because you're needing something, and so you kind
Yeah.
of use him as a warm body. But that's another conversation. Go ahead.
Man, that one can get deep. But the thing is, so you got the church, you have mentorship programs, you have a lot of free programs that are out there where there are men like myself. I have a mentorship program. There are
Right.
county programs where I started my mentorship in DeKalb County. They have county programs where they're hosting lock-ins where successful men will come and speak and pour into these young boys and mentor them. It's a lot of different programs out there, but you have to be intentional. I understand there's financial challenges. You're lonely. You're traumatized by what happened in life. I understand
Right.
that, but God gave you a child. God entrusted a life into your hands. So it's your responsibility to ensure he has a better chance and a better upbringing than you had. And the best way to do that is to connect him with some brothers, not just the person you dating and hoping that he like them. No, connect them with some brothers that you know are doing some positive things and that have a heart for kids. That's my
I mean, that's real talk. That's real talk. Not connecting him with those uncles or those
man. The
people
uncle,
who,
come on with
right?
the uncle, man.
Come on, man. Like who keep coming in and out. Like you go and get solid with somebody, but don't introduce them to anybody that you're interviewing right now, because you
Wow.
never know that man is going to stay or go, right?
That's good.
One thing I can say, with my mother, before she even married my father, now my story is kind of unique because a lot of folks say, well, I was raised in a single parent household. Then they say, well, no, I was raised in a two-parent household. Well, I say I was raised in both because at the beginning of my childhood, my mother was single,
Okay.
right? She was
Up
single
until what age?
up until I want to say officially 6 or 7.
Mm, mm.
All right.
And
So those
those
are
first
some
7 years were very impactful and formative to you. To you.
very, very crucial. Right.
Mm,
And so for those first few years of my life, all I really knew was my mother and my siblings, my sisters. Right.
mm,
I knew a man, that came in and out for holidays and for my birthday, and oh, this is your dad. And then
mm,
we would go and visit his family ever so often. It was like a field trip to go
mm,
visit his family, that type of thing. They didn't get married until later on.
mm,
So I experienced the singleness. The best thing that my mother could have done during that time, because we were all traumatized. The
mm,
best thing that my mother could have done when she could no longer help me with my mental issues and instabilities, things that I was dealing with as a child, right? The best thing, bro, she could have did was she took me to the church house. And she did
mm.
not take me to no religious, mamsy pamsy, powerless type of church. She took me to a revivalistic type of church.
Come
And
on.
and I say this only because I'm trying to paint the picture, not because I'm a racist. I love everybody, but it was this white man with silver hair who had like the Holy Ghost power that I had never heard of.
My God.
And because I struggled in my mind, I could not be separated from
Mm,
my mother, from my grandmother, from anybody. I couldn't even go to school. I don't even remember third grade.
mm.
That's how much I was out of school during that time. I remember fourth grade. I remember second grade. I don't even know where I was in third
Mm,
grade. It was such a hard time. Why am I going through this? Why am I saying this? Because my life changed.
my God.
My life changed the moment I remember she'll tell you, if she's not on this live now, I'll probably have to have her come on and talk from a mother's perspective. But she will tell you she got to her wits end. She had been missing work, bro.
Mm,
She had been missing work. Of course, she's a single mom at this point. She got to
mm-hmm,
make do. She couldn't
mm,
get to work on time. I mean, all of these type of things because of my situation, my issues. They
mm,
said he needs to go and see a counselor or whatever. Well, in the 90s, we don't know about counselors. What is that?
mm-hmm.
You know what she did? She cried out. She took
I
me and
got a
she took
counselor. The
Yeah,
great counselor.
the great counselor. Come on. She took me to the
Yes.
great I am. And I'll tell you, my church back in the day, they used to hold Wednesday morning Bible study and Wednesday night. 2 Bible studies
Mhm.
on the same day.
Oh, wow.
Bro, in the middle of the work day, because I could not stay at school and she had already missed work. She took me in her car crying. I can remember it like it was yesterday. Crying, weeping, driving down the road. I'm being tormented in the mind. She
Mm.
takes me in the middle of their Bible study during the day, and she interrupts their Bible study,
Come on now.
wailing, coming down the aisle with me, saying, "Y'all got to do something with them because I can't no more."
My God. My God.
Through me, through me, to the man and to
Mhm.
the ministers that were there, and they begin to immediately, men and women, they begin to immediately, being led by this man of God, pray over my mind, ward off the spirit of depression, ward off the spirit of anxiety. I mean, I remember it like it was yesterday. You say, why am I hollering? Because let me tell you, it's
My God.
real.
And that's what Colin Gray should have been doing. That whole story right there. Dragging them down the aisle to the altar.
When the FBI can't handle it, I do know somebody who can. Now we ain't supposed to be preaching tonight, but I feel
Man,
something
look,
on that.
look here. Come
I
on now.
mean, I mean, and I tell people to this day, I'm still connected with that pastor.
Mm-hmm.
Still connected with that pastor. He's going on to give his church over to his son, who's my age, and I mean, he's retired out of doing local pastor. But I'm still connected to him to this day. Had it not been for that godly man and the godly men that were in that Bible study and the women who were supporting them,
Mm-hmm. So you like 8 years old, 8, 9 years old?
I'm like, let me remember, what's third grade?
I think that's 8.
I'm like, yeah, 7 or 8, I think.
Man, man. That's deep.
And
That's deep.
again, this was before my mother went ahead and gotten married to my father. So
Mm-hmm. Mm. And look, had she just slapped you and told you to go to your room, like we know some black moms is doing out here. You
ain't
know what
nothing
I'm
wrong with
saying?
it. Be
Go
quiet.
dep- go depress them dishes. If she would have told
Right.
you that,
But
imagine.
I am, bro, I'm so convinced that I would not be where I am right now. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
And not where I'm going. I'm so convinced. So convinced. All right. We anything else you want to say on this? I don't want to beat a dead horse, but I'm just saying.
Man. That story blessed me, man. That you ministered just then. I hope that ministered to those who are listening, and they really catch the essence of it. So just to wrap that up, what we were saying, he gave a real life example of what incorporating the church looks like. He's a testament of men of God who can transform the trajectory of a young man's life. That's what we're saying could have happened. Now we don't know what he tried, what he didn't try. It
Right.
don't seem like he tried much, but we don't
Right.
know. But had he tried that, we see what the power and the impact of godly men can be.
For sure, for sure. Yo, bro, I also want to talk about this situation. Well, before I go on to that, our hearts and our prayers are go out to the families, those people who were, affected by this tragedy, because that is
Mhm.
exactly what it is.
Mhm.
The high school, the staff, everybody involved. We're praying for you. I'm sure there are other men of God that have been praying, but you got 2 godly brothers and men of God who are joining in on the prayers to cover that community and every other community. How about that?
Yeah.
In this nation, because we need it like never before. Listen, I
And
want to bring up. Go ahead, go.
I was just gonna say, and young kids who are on the verge of doing something like that, because he toiled over that thing for a year at
Right,
least. So the kids that are on the verge as well, that's what we're lifting them up to heaven as well.
Right. Listen, if you check on your kids,
Man,
can I say that right now? Check on your kids.
just love
Don't
on them.
assume
Even if they don't want to be loved, just love on them, man.
and love on them. Period. Love casts out all fear, and it covers. And so,
Hmm.
regardless of whether or not they think you're being mushy, crazy, whatever, you gotta do it. You gotta
Gotta do
love
it.
the hell out of your house and love the
Man,
hell
come on.
out of them.
Come on. That's good.
That's just the bottom line. Okay, look. Speaking of role models, speaking of, you know, our younger generation right now having people that they look up to, it we have to be honest. Some of these kids are not looking at people like us or people, who are in the church or whatever. Their role model are some of the rappers and things like that. And so our heart and prayers go out to the family, the friends, the community of Rich Homie Quan. But I want to
Mhm.
bring this up, into the discussion, because I think the discussion could take a good turn right here. Of course, we lost him. It is being said allegedly that we lost him to an overdose. I say
Mhm.
allegedly because other stories have come out now that it could have been foul play. It could have been some other things
Mm.
surrounding that situation. So,
Look at
bro,
that.
I'm gonna get your take on it in just a moment. I'm gonna bring up this video of one of the influencers who was talking about just how the weight of what he felt on the day that the news just broke about Rich
Mm.
Homie Quan's death. Here we go.
Hip hop, we lost another rapper today. I've been sad and somber since I heard that Rich Homie Quan passed away. Um, the cause of death has not been publicly released yet, but that's somebody's daddy who passed away. That's somebody's son who passed away. So first and foremost, we need to just pour all love and prayers into his family and friends during this tough time. And then secondly, death makes you reflect on life. So as a hip hop community, it's just a time to reflect on, like, wow, we do have life and it's so precious. Like, how are we choosing to use our time and talents while we down here? What are we representing? Because our music lives on even after we gone. What lifestyles are we advocating for? And most importantly, just like death is real, eternity is real. So are we getting our relationship right with God? Because where are we going to spend eternity? That's something that we need to really just be all thinking on, man. And just rest in peace, bro. It's sad.
Whoo! I actually love how he wrapped that up. That's heavy, bro. Thoughts?
Yeah. Yeah, man. Well said by my brother D1, man. Shout out to him. That's the bro from back home. Um, uh, when I heard the story, of course, first I didn't believe it. I don't believe stories that come out a lot of times. You really got to look deep into it. But then once some reputable platforms started to share it, and uh, I started to continue to see it. Initially, no lie, I was a little mad because
Mm,
the society that we live in is such a microwave, shiny things society, and Rich Homie was really a legend, for a lot of things he accomplished in the music industry. But I didn't see a lot of people talking about him while he was here. He had
uh-huh.
reached a point in his career where he kind of slid off into obscurity.
Okay.
And I had a chance to watch a lot of his interviews, and he was saying how the industry had did different things, and he was in limbo for a minute. He couldn't drop any music because of his label situation. He was in a dark time. He talked about he had struggles with drugs. He shared all of those things. So initially I was upset that they weren't giving him his flowers while he was here. And then
Mhm.
once he passed, they talk about how much they love this song and that song. And so initially I was upset, but then I started to feel like a lot what D1 was saying. It's just like it's just sad. It's a sad situation. I don't like how the culture that raised me, it eats a lot of our individuals alive, man. It eats a lot of our men alive,
Mm.
because we're raised in a culture. And he even said one of the drugs he got introduced to was why he was on tour. He needed a boost. He needed to be able to live up to the standards of what work required.
Wow.
So the culture that we embrace a lot of times is killing us, and it's upsetting, it's disappointing. And I'm at a point in my life now where, a lot like D1, look, we calling out the industry. We holding the industry to a higher standard, so it doesn't continue to pass down to generation after generation. They won't have to go through, like what I said earlier, 20 years in prison, near death experiences, in and out of prison for 20 years to realize that ain't what's up. It's our responsibility to share with them there's another way. This is actually cool. There's a different type of cool than what we've been accustomed to knowing.
I couldn't have said it better. I couldn't have said it better. My heart just really goes out to this young man. I'm gonna be real. I didn't listen to much of his music. I knew of him. I didn't listen to much of his music, just because some of the things that, like what you said, that's promoted in that culture. Um, I kind of choose to consecrate my ears from, and my heart. Um, but that still doesn't mean that we didn't lose a human,
Yeah.
right? That still doesn't mean that we didn't lose a young man. And, I'm not going to put it back up on the screen, but in that particular article, in the title, it said that he was 33. Is that correct?
33, man.
33 years old. I couldn't imagine.
Mm-hmm.
You get what I'm saying? To me, it's like you haven't even really lived life yet.
Yeah, man.
You haven't. You just got out your 20s, and 20s. That's the decade of trying to try everything
And
you possibly can.
that was the decade he was most successful.
Right,
So
and
he's
then
wild and young and unwise, during his most successful years.
right, doing his most. So the pressure, and that's why I say that my heart goes out to him first.
Mm-hmm.
Not just because he lost his life, but these are the things I'm literally thinking about, bro. When I'm looking at his age, I kind of surveyed his career after I heard about the death, and I'm just like, what type of pressure were you under?
Yeah.
And you said it best. You touched on it. That he was introduced to a drug, and that he began to take to try to keep up with the standard of living, and the standard that the not just the culture but the industry
Mm-hmm.
you know forces you to have to meet in order to stay relevant and to stay in the game.
Mm-hmm.
um how do we, because you mentor young guys right now,
Mm-hmm.
how do we um disassociate or disconnect our young men, especially our young black men? And I want you to hear this question, man, because I think about this often. How do we disconnect our young black men from the system of culture and from having to feel like that they have to live up to this fake facade of success
Mm-hmm.
in order to be relevant or liked or loved? How do we begin to do that? I know that's a big question, but
Yeah.
how do we even begin?
I believe, man, it is a process, and sometimes it'll land, sometimes it won't. But the important thing is to lead with love. A lot of these young kids, man, they just need to experience sincere love. They have
Yeah.
not experienced it. They've experienced toxic love. They've experienced abandonment, so they've experienced these different things, these traumatic experience, but they need to, especially not from a man. A lot of times their dad is absent or in and out of their life, got beef
Mhm.
with the mama. A lot of these situations are happening. So if they can experience sincere love from a man, where I'm calling you, I'm like what I do with my boys in my mentorship. I'm pulling up to football games.
Right.
I'm picking up and I'm celebrating their birthdays with them. I'm taking them to get haircuts for the first day of school. All of these different
Wow.
things, man, showing them that things that are important to them are important to me. I'm
Yeah.
calling them and checking on them and seeing how things are going. I'm telling them I love them, even if they don't know how to say it back yet. It's
Yeah.
okay. I love you, bro. It took me a while to be able to tell another man who's not my family that I love them. It
Mm.
wasn't until I really got deep into church that I saw a brother saying, I love you, brother, and it
Yeah.
was cool,
Yeah.
so that, like, being able to see that, being able to lead with love, and then just your be. I tell my wife this all the time, just your be can help them. Your existence, you standing firm in the man God has created you to be. Him seeing your family, him seeing you make a responsible living. Him seeing you love on your wife. Him seeing you making having a family and a wife look cool.
Yep.
Being able to embrace that type of reality will minister to a young man. And you still confident, you still cool, all of those things. But you know what's going on, and you know
Mhm.
how to hold them accountable. Just your be, leading with love, and just your be, loving God, showing them that it's cool and it's okay to pray. I could pray with you. What you going through, man? Let's pray.
Yeah.
Even weeping before the Lord, all of those things I had when I was at my previous church. I had a young man who was going off into college, man. He told me one time, man, a lot of times when I'm in service, I watch what you doing and I just do it. And I be going up when you worshiping, I be going up with you until you just go to this
Wow.
other level. I can't go to you where you get to running and jumping and shouting.
Yeah,
He said I
that's a little bit too much for me right now.
he said I can't go that high, but when you be into it, I be into it too. So they
Wow.
watching, man. They watching. And this was an older teenager that was going off in the college. They watching, man. So your B is very, very important. Standing firm. When they can see consistency in the man, I'm sorry, I'm going off.
No,
And when they
go,
can
go,
see
go.
when they can see consistency in a man, because all they seen is coming and going. He here now and then he not. Broken promises. That's all they've seen. So when they can see consistency in a man, come on, man. It makes a world of a difference.
I think you just gave some real practical tools here, and I hope that you guys who are watching in, I hope that you are really vibing and catching on to the theme of today's show, like the importance of a godly man or a cohort of godly men in the life of women and children can really make a world of difference. This guy lost his life, they stated, bro, to an overdose.
Mm-hmm.
But now it's being stated that there may have been foul play, all of that as well, that really it was not drugs. It was framed as drugs, but
Wow.
actually because he was getting ready to, testify in a case, and all of
Wow.
this stuff, that his life was taken. This was allegedly. We don't know that for sure, but let's talk on that for a moment.
I did not hear none of that.
Yeah, it gets deep. When you research it, it gets deeper than just, yeah, it gets deeper
Mm, okay.
than what some of the news articles and everything that are out there have stated. Um, what do you say to that? I mean, you just now heard that information. What? I mean, this is the world we're living in, right now.
Mm,
Like it kind of feels like the Matrix. Like, okay, I'm grieving my brother over the idea of that he overdosed. That's already sad in and of itself.
mm-hmm.
That a drug could have possibly taken him out, but now it's the thought of maybe it wasn't his weakness per se
Mm,
that took him
man,
out, but maybe
it's
his
wild.
weakness is being exploited as a cover up
Oh
for
wow.
something else that is. I'm sorry that we're talking about murders and all this stuff so much tonight, but I mean this is what's happening in our societies right now. So what do you say to that, bro? What's your reaction?
Woo, that's a lot to process, man. I think that's just a lot. I do understand. We understand that a lot is going on in the streets of Atlanta right now. It's a huge case, the YSL case. I'm not sure if you're familiar, but the
Mm-hmm.
guy, Young Thug, who's on trial, was like a running mate with Rich Homie at one time musically. They were doing a
Right.
lot of music together. They did mixtapes together. They were basically like a duo for a time frame. Um, so to hear that he was about to testify and or allegedly was about to testify and was murdered and covered up, I don't know if I believe that.
Yeah.
It sounds like a lot. It sounds like more sophisticated than what we've seen.
Mm-hmm.
Out here they just busting heads.
Yeah.
Like for real. They just shooting people up. Doing cover-ups and stuff like that. I haven't really heard much about that, but it's possible.
Yeah.
But it's disappointing and frustrating, man. If that's the case, that's very disappointing, man. For real.
Yeah, I think more than ever, one thing that we need to do is continue to have these type of conversations and continue to educate one another, continue to educate the men in our community so that we know how to be and how to teach and how to cover and all of that. What are we saying to brothers tonight? With all of these situations that we've covered. I know that we want to make sure that we encourage them to be present
Hmm.
and to have their presence, in the lives of um, you know our families and things like that. But what's that one thing if we had to like put a bow on this tonight? What's that one thing that we're saying to the men tonight?
I would say impact a young person at some capacity. I
Yeah.
understand not everyone is called to be a mentor to a young person, or youth minister, whatever the case may be. However, you can get connected to a person or a program and sow seed, be a
Mhm.
resource, be a connector. There's something you can do to impact a young person, and not just have the mindset. Because I know it's some brothers that have a mindset, man, when them young dudes run up on me, I'm gonna bust their head, because I know
Yeah.
they wild, so I'm gonna get them before they get me,
Yeah.
which is wrong, but I understand because it's so crazy out here, and you
Right.
want to get home to your family.
Right.
So I would say to disrupt the cycle, to do your part in disrupting the cycle by impacting a young person at some capacity. Find you a
Yeah.
program, find you a young man, find you a grown man who's connected to a young man, and just
Hmm.
be a blessing. And if you have young people in your life, do those things I said earlier. Lead with love and be, and maybe your be needs some work. Maybe you're not where you feel as though you're a good example for a young man. So do the work within yourself as
Yeah.
well. Get your healing, get your deliverance, get you some connection to some men, some godly men, and do that work so you could be a positive impact on the next generation, man, and break this cycle because it's all good until it hit home.
I love that. And that's so true. That's so true. Bro, you seen The Forge?
I did, man. I seen it twice.
Okay, you
I
seen it. Wait a minute. You love
seen
that movie. You saw it twice.
I seen it twice, man. We seen it with the brothers at the church, and then
Yeah.
I took my family to see it.
Wow. Listen, I was on a date with the missus. And while the kids were in school, we were like, you know what, we're gonna kind of just unplug and go see the movie. And when I tell you, I'm gonna tell you right now, wait, this ain't surprising to most people who know me. I mean, I was in the theater crying,
Yeah.
speaking in tongues,
Yeah.
praying to myself, trying to keep it, trying not to be so loud. But I
Yeah.
brought that up to say, what better time for that movie to come out?
Perfect timing. Perfect
Perfect
time.
timing. For those of you guys, I'm not going to do any spoilers. Maybe we might do a show and just kind of unpack some of the stuff in the
I'd
movie.
love to.
That would be dope to do.
I'd
Maybe we can
love
get some
to.
of our brothers on here too. Maybe in your camp, your community, and in
Yeah.
my camp, we can bring them on and we just have a whole town hall situation. We should do that,
Yeah. Yeah. And then we're gonna talk about the deliverance next.
bro. We got to do that. We got to do that.
Oh, we
We
gonna
got.
talk about the deliverance.
We no topic is off limits right here.
There you
He
go.
talks
Have you
live. So
seen it?
say it again.
You seen it? Have you seen it?
Now I'm gonna be honest with you. I have not seen it.
Me
I
neither.
have seen
Talk about it.
all of the promos and Facebook, everybody talking about it. I haven't seen it. I'm gonna tell you, I chose not to see it because I'm like, there's just some things I can't let in my spirit. Now,
Mhm.
other folks are like, hold up, but you're a man of God. You shouldn't be, thinking like that. You should be able to watch it or whatever. That's good for you. If that's good for
Mhm.
you, do that. But for
Mhm.
me, I I just didn't want to chance it. It was
So what
we
you
we gonna have to
from
come back and dissect this movie.
right,
That went
right. Let me ask this question. Are we wrapping up? We got time.
no, go ahead, go.
Okay. From what you've seen and heard, what do you believe the intent of the movie is?
For the deliverance.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pausing on purpose because I've thought about this from different angles. I think the angle that I'm setting on in my spirit is, and again, not having seen the movie, so you know, it's kind of an unfair, response. But I think the intent of the movie was to romanticize deliverance.
Mm.
And me being a deliverance worker and having been born and raised around a lot of bona fide prophets and deliverance workers in my family, it is not romantic
At all.
at all. Um, I have literally seen a lot. I won't go through all of that right now on this show, but maybe when we review the movie, maybe when we review it, I'll go
But
through. But I've
are we
seen.
gonna see it to review it?
Maybe we might have to ask our brother TK if he's seen it. Maybe.
Man, yeah. So
I think it was romanticized.
okay. So I heard from Lee Daniels, an interview he did, who's the producer or director of the movie,
Director,
and
yeah.
he shared that with the times that we're in, everyone needs to have some form of faith. And
Yeah.
he said it is a hard movie, but the intent of it is to push you to a higher power.
But
So go ahead.
mhm, mhm. It's interesting that you worded it just like that.
Hmm.
Um, because what higher power are you pushing me to?
Yeah, that's real. That's real.
You get what I'm
Uh,
saying? And that's why I was careful of watching it because there's just certain things you watch, you see, you listen to, where you have to ask yourself, where is this directing me?
yeah.
Where is it taking me?
Yeah, I
Um,
think I think what I gather from him is he didn't want to I haven't seen the movie, but I
yeah,
think what he said, he didn't care what religion it was, just long as you have a belief in a higher power, because we're fighting a spiritual battle out here. Basically, that's
yeah,
what I grasped from it. But
yeah.
in Hollywood, you want to be unbiased. You want to be our that's the mindset. They don't want to, when they want to reach the masses and have untapped potential, unlimited potential, they don't want to identify with a certain thing like the Forge does,
Right.
and we see the difference in the promotion
I
of
was
those
just
two.
about to say, I think the Forge had more impact
Mm,
than the Deliverance. As a matter of fact, people are trying to boycott Deliverance and get it taken off of Netflix and other platforms or what have
really?
you. They're trying to
Wow.
get it. And I really think, even though the Kendrick brothers, those are the
Hmm.
producers of all of these type of films that we saw, War Room,
Right.
Fireproof, The Forge, that's out now.
Hmm.
Even though they don't have the level of notoriety as a Lee Daniels,
Hmm.
I think they have greater impact than Lee Daniels. Because to have people like me or other men, I literally have heard of other men in the movie theater crying,
Mm,
praying, asking God to deliver them from that
mm.
same anger that they saw in the main character and all this stuff. You know, that's impact to me.
Yeah. Agreed.
That's real
Agreed.
impact.
Agreed. Yeah.
Rather than saying, oh, we're here in these times, as you know, everybody just need to be able to believe in something higher than themselves. Something higher. I need I need the right thing if
Yeah.
I'm gonna survive.
Hmm. That's
I
real.
don't know. My
So
thoughts.
let me ask you about one more before we jump.
All right.
Book of Clarence.
I have not seen that. Now I'm gonna be honest with you. I do want to see that one. So we're
I
gonna.
saw
I
that.
tell you what. You saw that one. So
I'm glad to hear that you're willing.
I'm willing. I'm willing to watch that one. Um, I've seen the previews. I've heard some of the reviews and things like that. So I will. We need to plan to um, all three of these movies, perhaps
Yeah.
some
Yeah.
sort of way. We need to
I don't
plan
know
to.
how we're gonna do Deliverance. I don't know
I
if
don't know
I'm
how
gonna
we're
be,
gonna do Deliverance, but
because
we need to
the thing
plan
about
to,
Deliverance for me, I don't do horror movies in general.
yeah.
So I don't
Why?
know if
Okay. Why don't you do? Why don't you do horror movies in general?
I don't see the purpose. I don't see it.
Okay.
When I used to watch it, it was just so I could, my pride and my ego. Yeah, I watched that, man. When I was younger,
Right.
yeah, I watched it. Woo, woo, woo. Like, I'm bragging, but I don't see a purpose no more. I don't have anything to prove. Like, so why
Yeah.
invite that into my spirit? And now I'm more in tune with the spirit realm. I
Yeah.
understand how real that thing is. I don't want to, flirt with it. If unless I'm in a deliverance session, like I don't really have no reason to.
So have you seen The Deliverance? Or
I
you haven't
haven't.
seen it either?
Mm-mm.
Okay. All right. Yeah, we're gonna have to figure this out. We're gonna have to figure this out. I'm with you on that. I believe
Yeah.
in portals.
Exactly. Exactly. And I don't want to have to invite something into my spirit that I gotta warfare to get out.
Because it's enough warfare already. That's all I'm saying.
Exactly.
But I will
Exactly.
say this now, and my wife says if she's in the chat, she's probably have already said it. But she's of a different persuasion. She believes that she can watch it and it's fine. The Deliverance, and greater is He that's in her than he that's in the world, and all that good stuff, and that's beautiful. But I told her, I was like, not in my house. Because we're not opening up portals and things like that.
Yeah.
That's just my stance, my belief, and I got scripture to back it. Now,
That's real.
who's right, who's wrong? I don't know. We'll discuss that a little bit later, maybe when we review these movies. But I can say this: if you are not skilled in the deliverance ministry, if you are not familiar with demonic warfare, spirits, how they operate, how things work, um, be careful.
Mm.
Be careful what you watch. You could be watching it for entertainment, but then um, dealing with something later on because you just want to be entertained.
So yeah, exactly. I want to share one thing from the Book of Clarence without spoiling it. It's
Okay.
one. key thing that they did with the traditional image of Jesus in that movie. It's very interesting what they did in there.
I remember the preview very vividly, and I remember thinking, okay, they playing around with some paradigms, with some thoughts when
What
it
you
comes
saw? What
to
said that to you?
just how I think Clarence, and if I'm not mistaken, I think Clarence was like the representation of Jesus. Is that correct? Or
Of a false
was
Messiah.
right? So my thought on that was, okay, are they alluding to Jesus being that? Was that what they were? Was that the message that they were trying to send? I do know that it's a satire type of movie, so you kind of bend ideas with that type of setup. But I don't know. I haven't seen it. I have to check it out.
Okay. Yeah. See, I think when you watch it, you'll get your answer for that one.
Okay, I'll get my answer.
But look out for what they did with the traditional image. I won't even go into detail. The tradition, but you should know what I mean when I say that. The traditional image of Jesus, they did something very interesting with.
Okay, so now I gotta watch it this week. I gotta find some
You gotta
time.
watch it. You gotta watch it.
Hey, y'all tell me or tell us over in the chat, what do you want us to talk about? We want to start hearing from you about the topics and the things you want us to cover. I am loving how we've kind of shifted and we're starting to talk about more current events. That feels real good. We're going to keep it locked in that way. But if you have any things that come up on your end and you say, hey, I saw this in the news, saw this on IG, and I want to hear what the He Talks crew got to say about it from a Christian man perspective, throw it on over there to either myself or Rashad or TK. Find us or go to the He Talks live page on Instagram. Send us a message. Let us know that you want us to talk about those type of topics, and we'll see if we can bring it in. Looks like we're going to be reviewing some movies.
Man, I'm looking forward to that one.
Looks like we're gonna be doing that, and then I'm also looking forward to bringing some more of our brothers, a collective group of brothers, on so that we could have a whole talk, about some things. So y'all look out for that, bro. This has been great.
It's been awesome, man. I enjoy it more every time.
Every time it gets better and better. Y'all make sure that if you are not, make sure you are subscribed to our YouTube channel. It's called He Talks Live.
He Talks
can find us
one
right
word.
Yep, He Talks one word, then live. You can find us over there on YouTube. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you click that notification bell as well, so that you know about all of the different things that are going to come out. We're going to start doing some different things beyond the actual show that we do as well. So we want you to be aware of it. We want you to be in the know and not miss a thing that we are getting ready to release. We're just getting started with this. We're revving up. We're finding our stride. And we thank you so much for being with us and rocking it out with us on this particular journey. Bro, any last words before we wrap it up?
Man, we went deep. We touched it all, man. So, yeah, just keep tuning in and seeing how we evolve and touch on these topics. Kingdom perspective.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. I pray now over everybody who has watched this, over every community. I decree and declare God's protective covering over us. I proclaim that His blood is being pled over all of us, over all of our homes, and everything concerning us, our children. I plead the blood of Jesus over everything and everybody connected to us, especially during these times now, God, that we are living in. I thank you for the conversation that we've had tonight, God, and may this conversation continue long after we are done. May this conversation continue around the dinner tables, in the cars, as some of our brothers are taking their kids to school or they're going into the offices. May they continue this conversation, because the more that we talk about these things, Lord, I know that we will bring more awareness to what's happening. And not only that, but bring us into greater solutions for these things that we've just brought up in this conversation. May be done, may be settled, may be so, in Jesus' name. Amen. I'm King and R. Dudley. That's my brother Rashad Davis. TK should be back with us in the house next week.
We miss you, brother.
We miss you, bro. And we're looking forward to your perspective when you get back. All right, y'all. Peace.